Our backstage passes, though, that was interesting because I got to go backstage. We'll show you the posters at Merriweather when the Who and Zeppelin were there, and I was backstage, and I was just wandering around aimlessly, and I walked by a dressing room, and Pete Townsend was in there playing on his guitar, and he had a bottle of whiskey sitting there. And I just walked in and said, "Hi, how you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm fine. Want a drink? Sit down and play a little bit?" And sure. So I sat down and had a couple of shots with Pete Townsend and played guitar. And then I remember at the Laurel Pop Festival, backstage, wandering around, there's Frank Zappa having a cigarette, and I walked up to him and introduced myself, told him I worked for the record store, sold tickets for the concert, and he was very impressed. And we just chatted. He was a very pleasant guy. He didn't get high. He didn't smoke. I had a joint and I offered him some, but he declined. But he was smoking cigarettes. So
that Led Zeppelin Who show at Merriweather was very incredible. I remember we had passes that we had gotten from probably from Schwartz Brothers because they were on Atlantic, and we sat in the very front row of the pit, the orchestra pit. I mean, to the point of where I could put my feet up and my heels would be on the stage. And it was me and Junior, and we had beer, and we had a bag of pot, and we had pills, and he's backstage.
I was backstage with.
There were like 4 or 5 of us, so right in the middle of the front row. This is before there was a cover. Merriweather was all outdoors back then, except for the stage was covered. That was the only thing.
Right. All the seating was on the lawn.
Really?
Well, they had seating, but it wasn't covered.
Oh, that's right.
I think they covered it after it burned down.
That's Wolf Trap.
No, it was
Merriweather burned.
Yep.
Really? Well, you know, I think so that show was I mean, that's cool. We'll still look at the poster in a minute, but that was a pretty legendary show. But that was I guess the Zeppelin had played at Wheaton. And then the next show was when they were opening for the Who, and the Who had already, I guess, broke here.
My generation had already hit.
Yeah.
Well, it was. I believe Tommy had just come out.
Well, you're probably right.
Right, because Tommy. Well, that was the summer, because Laurel. Because then you're mentioning Laurel Pop, and Laurel Pop was a month.
We weren't
before.
there, but Zeppelin was there. And Zeppelin really, one thing I remember about Zeppelin's performance is that the audios, when Palmer would sing, he'd get an echo back from the woods beyond the track. And he started timing his vocals to the echo, and it was kind of surrealistic. Of course, the chemicals we were doing didn't hurt at all, but it was kind of neat the way he did that.
I remember watching him. He had an Echoplex on the drum riser that he ran himself. Robert Plant ran himself. So when he was doing the Whole Lot of Love thing, he would be doing his own vocal effects, which I thought was pretty interesting.
And that's how he got the echo?
Yeah. I don't know how he did it, but I just know that he would wait. It happened once just accidentally. He sang a tune and sang a note, Plant did, and then we heard it come back from the woods just beyond the track, and he heard it. And then he started getting in sync with this echo coming back from the tree line, and it was kind of neat. Mm-hmm. And then they burned all the chairs, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
I remember the stage manager running around saying a lot of unnice things about the crowd burning all the wooden chairs because it was getting chilly. And that was the last concert they ever had at Laurel Racetrack.
That's right. I remember
that was Sunday night after the last act or so, or maybe during the last act. Was that Buddy Guy? I can't remember who the last one was.
I remember being there the first night. The first night was Friday, I believe, and there was a keyboard player that I had met, and I think it was the keyboard player 10 years after. I'm not sure, but we had met at a previous show, and we were in the audience, and I believe Zappa was playing. And he asked me if I had anything to keep him awake, and of course I did, and it was in a cigarette cellophane in my pocket. and I reached in and I dropped it on the ground. I went, damn. And as luck would have it, there was a PG County policeman standing right in front of me, watching the stage, looking the other way. And I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, "Excuse me, sir. My friend here dropped his car keys. Could I borrow your flashlight for a second?" And he just, without even really looking, just handed it over his shoulder to me and said, "Sure, here you go." I found the pills, gave him back the flashlight, and everybody went on their way.